I have sat through hours of content and articles trying to understand this whole situation, so don't worry, I've broken it all down in this video. It's nice and easy to understand. So let's start from the beginning of this hard out intense drama. Call Her Daddy, for those of you who don't know, is a podcast hosted by Alexandra Cooper and Sophia Franklin, two women in their 20s who live in New York. So Sophia Franklin, 27, and Alexandra Cooper, 26, started the show in 2018 after coming up with the idea when they were on vacation. The podcast was pitched to Barstool Sports exactly 2 years ago, and about a month after the first episode aired, it quickly began raking in hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Initially, Barstool Sports weren't exactly super keen on founding the podcast, but Alex, the main host of the show, managed to convince the owner of Barstool Sports that a lucrative advice podcast would become highly profitable and rake in the views, and thus it soon did. Alex was working on her own little podcast before starting Call Her Daddy, and that's why they chose to work with her, because they liked her style and believed in her talent. Now, a bit of a background on Alex Cooper. She's a Boston University graduate who vlogs full-time for YouTube, and she's also an Instagram influencer, thanks to the publicity gained from Call Her Daddy podcast. Sophia Franklin, who's her co-host, initially did not know who Alex was before they became apartment flatmates, and soon enough they became BFFs and started their podcast together called Call Her Daddy. Now, what makes Call Her Daddy stand out from other podcasts is that its content is mainly about sex advice. They're super open and they're always covering topics people just don't talk about, but love to listen to. Their content is certainly not for everyone. I used to be mad obsessed with them, not gonna lie. That was until they started promoting the idea of cheating and giving advice on how to cheat. That's around the time that I decided to tune out. But they are very entertaining and they have a super loyal fan base. They're also not afraid to rip anyone to shreds. Girl code is non-existent on that podcast, I tell you that right now. They've also really helped to normalise the discussion of sex and relationships, and they're very empowering to tune into. The audience demographic is 50-50, both men and women tune into the show. Now let's get to the juicy drama. What has happened? I kind of always wondered in the back of my mind, when the pair, Alex and Sophia, if they were to have a fight or an argument, what would that look like in terms of their business/podcast model and their contract? Because you know, the old saying goes, you shouldn't go into business with your friends, because when things turn sour, it can all turn to shit. I honestly think the drama stems from greed, which we will investigate today. So what happens when a media company's star employees become powerful influencers and use their influence to get their own entitled way, despite there already being a contract put in place? Well, that's the issue a lot of media companies are going to face in the future. Influencers who outgrow the media brands who initially invested in their careers. Alex and Sophia would undoubtedly not be where they are today if it wasn't for Barstool. So the last time Call Her Daddy aired, it was on April the 8th. Their last episode had a cryptic description where they wrote Kesha ... the end. Their fans had tweeted at the time #FreeTheFathers, and there was mass speculation online that Alex and Sophia were being silenced by Barstool, their parent company. But that actually wasn't the case at all. Fast forward to April the 21st, they had both posted a since deleted statement to Instagram, basically saying that they can't legally speak out yet, alluding to dark things that were happening behind the scenes. They didn't comment further despite being hit up by multiple tabloids. Finally, a couple of days ago, Dave Portnoy, the Barstool Sports founder and president, had posted an exposing podcast to the Call Her Daddy podcast feed. No one was expecting it, and boy did it start some serious drama online. Dave exposed Alex and Sophia's unprofessional, greedy and disloyal behaviour, and then went on to expose his side of their messy contract dispute, which is now resulting in a three-way lawsuit. Apparently more than 35% of Barstool's revenue comes from the Call Her Daddy podcast, and that's a lot. Both Sophia and Alex were arguing with the company for quite some time that they were unfairly getting a small cut of the company's profits, and they felt like they had a right to more because they were the talent. Unfortunately for Sophia and Alex, they brought emotion into business and dealt with things the wrong way. Within Dave's podcast, he stated that the company was losing $100,000 per missed episode, and said that he had offered the hosts a guaranteed base salary of $500,000 a year, plus bonuses among many other incentives, aka sponsorships, and he had estimated that this would ultimately net them millions. This was in hopes to get them to return to the show. So the Call Her Daddy show makes around $5 million a year. And how did I find these numbers, you ask? Well, Barstool Sports podcast revenue hit $15 million last year, according to Google, and if 35% of that revenue is brought in by Call Her Daddy, then Call Her Daddy officially makes the company $5,250,000 annually, and Sophia and Alex were only making a $75,000 base salary. Also, their fans were led to believe, but that wasn't the case at all. So okay, they had their alleged base salary of $75,000, or so we were told, and it was supposed to go up to $100,000 after 3 years, with an additional $2,500 an episode for every 10% of listeners they could pull in above the average. Initially, I was thinking that's such a screw over, what a horrible company to work for, but then in Dave Portnoy's Tell All Exposing podcast, he had said that Sophia and Alex had both taken home at nearly $500,000 last year, which is a figure far higher than fans were led to believe. So Sophia and Alex constantly made out like they were struggling broke girls in their 20s, which is relatable, pulling in the followers honey, building that trust honey. Then it was exposed how much they were really making, which made fans feel betrayed. We were all lied to. I will admit though, the media company Barstool is still making, well was, $5,250,000 off them annually. And they were pissy because they were only taking home $500,000 approximately each. But what they seem to forget is that without that company, they wouldn't be where they are today. They would be making nothings. In my opinion, the pair should have renegotiated long ago about their salary, behind the scenes, not messy publicly, and the terms of their contract also. But they didn't, so this is where Alex and Sophia are stuck at now. They were probably thinking it over and over in their heads, and it wasn't until Sophia's boyfriend, Suitman, came along and said, oh no, you can't let Barstool get away with this. And that would have been around the time that Sophia convinced Alex that they needed to get a bigger cut on their millionaire podcast estate. So yeah, in my opinion, if they had negotiated behind the scenes with their parent company in a professional manner with a lawyer present, or just a calm approach, they would have gotten a lot further. And now Sophia doesn't even have a career. The company's not interested in her anymore because of the stunt she's pulled. So yeah, now that emotion has gotten involved, the producer of Barstool is pissed and things aren't looking up for Sophia. Alex definitely backstabbed Sophia and is going back to work for their company, but taking a 75% cut apparently, and ditching Sophia in the process. Now Alex could very easily get a new co-host. I mean, there's millions of girls out there and guys who would love to take Sophia's place and could probably do a better job. Bless her beauty, but man, in the past I found it hard to sit through and listen to her go off. Alex is definitely the driving force of the podcast, and Sophia was just kind of there filling in the gaps. Alex even admitted that she produced the whole damn podcast. I mean, it was her idea to begin with, but the backstabbing and the two-facedness has got to burn. And everyone knows now what kind of a person Alex really is. She honestly seems incredibly greedy for doing that to her friend, and I wouldn't be surprised if not many people want to work with her in the future because of how she's backstabbed her longtime BFF business partner. Like, she'll get her Call Her Daddy podcast back for sure, but no one will ever want to work with her in the future, in my opinion. Now, according to the podcast released on Sunday, there was a lot of going back and forth about their options. Dave said Alex had agreed to the new terms about receiving the $500,000 salary, but Sophia refused, and this was because her boyfriend, Suitman, aka Peter Nelson, yes, Dave did expose Sophia's boyfriend's full name, so yeah, Peter Nelson was convincing Sophia that these terms weren't good enough and that she could do better. But of course, Sophia can't have another media company buy the Call Her Daddy podcast without her business partner Alex, and now Alex doesn't want to leave. Now recently, on Tuesday afternoon, Sophia had taken to her Instagram story and had finally spoken her truth.
There's been a lot of crazy shit being thrown around, and some of it is true, some of it is false. I'm going to be 100% open and honest with you guys. Alex and I created Call Her Daddy together. March of 2018, we created it, the two of us. And at that time, we were best friends, roommates, arguably like sisters. Daddy Gang, you know you've been there from the beginning. Then we took the show to Barstool Sports. Did Barstool Sports help blow up Call Her Daddy? 100%. After some time had passed, Alex and I then both decided we wanted to consider some other options for multiple reasons. One of them being for the benefit of the Daddy Gang, believe it or not. But we did, and do we regret the way we went about it? Absolutely. We could have handled it differently. But we still wanted to work something out with Barstool, hence the meeting with Dave. And after the meeting with Dave, that's when negotiations started with both Alex and I to get a deal done. This is where the story gets extremely fucked up. I found out that Alex had gone behind my back and done something. And I found out it wasn't the first time. And that's why we're here. I trusted Alex, I feel betrayed, but ultimately she was my best friend and that doesn't change overnight, and I'm willing to call her daddy. I really am. I just can't do it under the circumstances that she wants. I can't do it while she's demanding that she controls the show. I don't want to be like her employee. We are partners. We've always been that way. We've always been 50-50. And so it's putting me in like an extremely tough position. So here we are. I do want to tell the Daddy Gang how much I love them, especially the ones that have stuck by me during all of this shit. I can't even put into words how much it has meant to me. Thank you. And I just remember when I quit my job for all of us to become a family or a gang or whatever, and I will be eternally grateful. You guys are the reason I'm here.
So Sophia literally looked like she was about to cry when she was talking about her side of the story. She also really didn't cover anything. Fans are like, what the hell is this? It looks awkward as heck. I can understand it would be a stressful time for her. Her bestie and business partner has backstabbed her. Her boyfriend has put all these ideas into her head and none of it's playing out. She's embarrassed herself in front of Barstool and she's humiliated herself in front of her fans. She's definitely going to need a lot of therapy sessions to recover from this, and a better lawyer. Maybe not take the legal advice from your boyfriend in the future. Barstool is still, however, offering a place for Sophia as a competing podcast host to Alex's Call Her Daddy podcast. But Sophia is obviously not happy with this, and she'd have to start from scratch if she did that. On a brighter note, both girls have almost 1 million followers on Instagram. They can make anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 for a single Instagram post, or start a fashion label. I mean, the opportunities are endless. So what can we learn from Sophia and Alex's mistake? For those who take a deal with an established media brand, it's important from the beginning to negotiate equitable terms, because if you don't, you could get yourself into a seriously messy situation like Sophia and Alex, where due to backstabbing and fake friends, Sophia has ultimately ended her own highly profitable $500,000 a year career. What are your thoughts on all this drama? Let me know in the comments. That's all for this investigation. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. My social media will be linked down below, and I'll see you guys in our next investigation.